Hello, welcome to this demo. Previous demo we saw how to configure MoSMB with NTLM authentication. Now we'll see how to configure it in Kerberos authentication. So for MoSMB to work in Kerberos authentication, we have a couple of prerequisites, which is networking settings and the Kerberos configuration. So today we'll see how to carry out the networking related settings. For networking related settings, we can divide it in three sections. One is configuration needed on Windows AD side, other is MoSMB server side configuration, and the Windows client side configuration. So first we'll go through Windows AD side configuration. For this demo we have a Windows 2K19 machine which is with the AD named as MoSMB AD2.dom. From here we'll just start the Active Directory Administrative Center. In Active Directory Administrative Center, we have a couple of users. One is MoAdmin, other is MoUser. MoAdmin belongs to the domain admins group, and MoUser belongs to domain users group. We will use this MoAdmin user to join the MoSMB server to the MoSMB AD2.dom domain. If we quickly go through the properties of this user, we have set that password never expires, so that if password is changed, the AD related settings will not get overwritten. And we have also enabled the encryption options for Kerberos for AES 128-bit encryption and the AES 256-bit encryption for both the users. Now I'll go on the MoSMB server side configuration. For this we need to first add our AD details in the etcresolve.conf file. So this is our MoSMB server. It is a CentOS machine. In this we will change the settings in etcresolve.conf. In this we will need to search for the domain MoSMB AD2.dom, and the name server for the same is client. Once the resolve.conf changes are carried out, we can now install the required packages for the domain join. For this demo, we'll use realmd and its other dependencies will be installed. As we can see, we are done with installation of all the packages. I'll just clear my screen. Now once the domain join related packages are installed, we can now use the realmd command to carry out the actual domain join process. We'll first discover our required domain, which is MoSMB AD2 with rel discover command. Now this gives us a result of MoSMB AD2 is discoverable and it's reachable. Now we can join the MoSMB AD2 domain with our MoAdmin user which we had created. So we'll use realm join command. I will provide the username and the domain name. Now this password for MoAdmin is for the MoSMB AD2 password. Once the domain join is complete, we can check if it is actually in the domain in two methods. We can either, from the server side, we can say realm list, and it will list the current domain on which our MoSMB server is joined. And on the AD side, we'll again go to the Active Directory Administrative Center in the computer section, and we will look for our MoSMB server's name. MoSMB server name is Alligator 20. So we have our Alligator 20 machine on the MoSMB on the AD side. Now one thing Realm does is it only creates an entry for server machine on the AD Active Directory side. For the DNS configuration, we will manually have to update DNS manager entries. To update, we'll go to forward lookup zone in the MoSMB ad2.dom section, and we'll just right click and say add new host. Here we will mention the name of our server machine, which is Alligator 20, and its IP address. We'll also create an associated pointer record for this, which will make an entry in the reverse lookup zone. It is successfully created. Here we can see that we have an entry for our server machine in the DNS. This completes our adding MoSMB server to the domain. Now we need to add a Windows client machine to a domain. For this, we have a Windows client machine which is of 2K19, and we will just go in the control panel for this machine, and in the under the system and security settings, we can change this machine's domain. So I'll just go into the change settings, and to rename the computer or change its domain or workgroup, click change. Here we will select the domain and we'll mention mosmb82.com as our domain. Now for this we need the domain admin credentials. So we'll give more admin. Now this says that this machine is part of a mosmb82.com. Now we need to restart the Windows client once for these changes to get applied. I'll just restart this machine. And once the machine is up, we will log into the machine with the domain user credentials. On the AD side, we can check if the machine is part of the Windows machine is part of the AD, which Alligator 37 with 10.10.0.1.1 IP address, which we just added in. This is a Windows machine which we just added in the domain. So we have both the entries. Alligator 37 in the Active Directory section and in the DNS as well. We'll wait for the machine to come up. Meanwhile, when the Windows machine is getting rebooted, we'll check for the restricted entries if there are any present for our MoSMB server from the Windows AD side. So on the AD side, we'll go to the computer section and the administrative center, and on our MoSMB server properties, we'll go to the extensions. Here in the attribute editor, we will look for the service principal name section, and as we can see, there are few restricted entries for the Kerberos host. We can remove these entries and we'll save the settings by clicking on OK, so that there is no further errors while accessing the MoSMB server with the FQDN of the MoSMB server in Kerberos authentication mode. Now that our client machine is up, we will just access this machine with the domain user. You can access the client machine with the domain user, which is MoAdmin. Windows machine needs to be part of a domain so that Kerberos authentication gets applied. Now you can see that we have successfully logged in with the domain user account on the client machine. So these are the networking settings which we need for MoSMB to be used in Kerberos authentication. That's it for this demo. In next demo, we will see how to carry out the Kerberos related configuration settings.